and welcome. I'm Jane Key, Dietitian and Chef with Kettering Health, the Community Outreach Department. Today we're going to talk about dietary ways to lower cholesterol. So perhaps your cholesterol is higher than ideal, or more importantly, your LDL cholesterol is elevated, which puts you at an increased risk for cardiac disease. So we're going to review some strategies today to help lower your cholesterol by making better food choices. So most of us can control our cholesterol by the foods that we eat. Occasionally, somebody has a genetic predisposition to high cholesterol, but for most of us, it has to do with our dietary intake. So if your diet gave you a high cholesterol, most likely through some alterations, you can also lower it quite effectively. There's two different strategies that we're going to look at to do this. So the two-step strategy is to add foods that lower your LDL cholesterol, which is the one that plants the plaque in the arteries, or to cut back on foods that actually boost the LDL cholesterol. And so there is three ways that we go about doing this. So we can lower our cholesterol by consuming more water-soluble fiber. There's two different fibers in food, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. And the effective fiber to lower cholesterol is soluble fiber. Think of it as you take in the fiber, it gets to your gut, it makes like a gel that surrounds the cholesterol. Then your cholesterol is taken to the liver to be excreted, so it's not able to get out into your circulation. So that is why water-soluble fiber is so effective in lowering blood cholesterol levels. The second way that we can eat different foods is some foods are very effective just in lowering the LDL cholesterol just by themselves. So we're going to talk about those today. A third method is some foods contain these plant compounds called Plantterols or stanols that actually can block cholesterol absorption. So those are the three different ways that we can be effective in the foods we choose to eat to lower LDL cholesterol. So let's start from the top, looking at one very effective food. Think about just putting oatmeal in your day at breakfast. Old-fashioned oatmeal, steel-cut oats, even oat bran are very high in the water-soluble fiber. So that's going to make the gel around the cholesterol to help it to be excreted so it's not absorbed into your body. Our overall goal in a day's time is to consume 25 to 35 grams of total fiber. So that would be insoluble and soluble together. But 5 to 10 grams of that we definitely want from soluble sources. So if I take in a cup of oatmeal, right there in that cup of oatmeal, I'm going to get somewhere between 2 to 3 grams of soluble fiber, but 5 total grams. So that gives you some idea. And oat bran is something that used to be consumed more years ago, but it's still available, but it is very effective and actually higher in water-soluble fiber. And then barley is another grain that you can buy, and barley is a whole grain, much like your old-fashioned oatmeal or oat bran or the oat groats. But this diagram shows you the three components of a whole grain. So it needs to have the bran, which is the outer covering, the endosperm, which is the starchy part, and then the germ, which I call the powerhouse. So when you eat a whole grain, that's really what you're doing, is eating the whole kernel and getting the benefit. And this is where we get the water-soluble fibers. So think about using barley in soups, salads, pilafs. It's a very hearty grain, very high in water-soluble fiber. And then your oatmeal, and then your other grains do have some water-soluble fiber in them, but those are probably the two grains that have absolutely the most. And they also contain a lot of helpful vitamins and minerals as well. Okay, beans, peas, lentils are something that we all want to increase in our diet. These are an example of dried beans, very high in water-soluble fiber. Canned beans work as well. I just encourage people to rinse their canned beans because that'll rinse off some of the metallic taste from the can, but also will take away about 40% of the sodium that's in the can. So canned beans and or dried beans are high in protein, high in the water-soluble fiber, Also provide great satiety, satisfaction. So if you're working towards decreasing animal protein and increasing plant proteins, beans, peas, and lentils are a great way to do that. And they're very budget friendly. The term legume goes over the whole umbrella of using beans, peas, lentils. So navy beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, black beans, any of your beautiful lentils, green, brown, yellow, black lentils. There are magnificent pastas now made from beans or lentils, and the water-soluble fiber content of these pastas is very high because it's a bean base versus a flour base. So think about expanding your horizons a bit and trying some of those. Edamame is a green soybean that also can be used as an appetizer in a salad, in a soup, or just to eat, and that's a good source as well. So soluble fiber, protein, and also very budget friendly to consume beans as your protein source. All right, nuts and seeds. So remember that we have soluble fibers, protein in your nuts and seeds, and the helpful fatty acids as well. And so this is an example of a serving of almonds flat on the palm of my hand. This shows you pepitas, which are a green pumpkin seed. And these have healthy monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats that help actually to lower our cholesterol level. Almonds work, walnuts, you can use peanuts, and then your sunflower seeds, chia seeds, hemp. If you choose to use flaxseed, I just like to remind people that it does need to be ground for your body to absorb it. Otherwise, it's going to pass through and not give you any of the health benefit. Keep in mind that with nuts and seeds, portion control is very important because they are a fat, a healthy fat, but they do have the ability to lower your LDL cholesterol, but we need to be moderate about portions because of how the calories can add up. All right, our next one to try to think about emphasizing is your plant-based oils. So anytime we can go with a liquid versus a solid is the way that we want to, this is the first choice. So liquid versus solid, olive oil, avocado oil, olives, eating avocados works as well, canola oils. You can even use soybean oil. All of these, they're heart healthy, so they're effective to lower the LDL cholesterol. Once again, we want to be careful about portion sizes. Drizzle, not pour, or perhaps you spray because you will use less with that. The other fats that we want to avoid are your solid fats. So things like your butter, lard, solid shortenings, those are the ones that have the saturated fat and sometimes small amounts of trans fats. So that is why to lower our LDL cholesterol, we want to stay with the liquid oils, but remember portion control there as well. So we have some beautiful components in fresh fruits. It's called pectin, which is a water-soluble fiber. So remember that forms the gel around the cholesterol so that the cholesterol is excreted and doesn't get out into our circulation. Apples are a marvelous source of pectin. And so anytime you can put an apple in your day, and the peel is very important to consume. Grapes, berries, citrus fruits, the pectin is what is the beautiful water-soluble fiber in those that helps cholesterol control. Then there is a grouping of foods that have plant sterols or stanols in them. Sometimes it's called phytosterols. That term doesn't really matter that much, but what I want you to know is there's naturally occurring helpful properties in the plant membrane of different things that grow in the ground, different grains and or fats and or fruits or vegetables that have these plant sterols or stanols in them. And then there is a lot of products that are fortified with the plant sterols or stanols because it's very difficult to get enough of them in our daily consumption. So Benecol is an example of a product that has been fortified with the plant sterols or stanols. Benecol is a buttery spread, so anywhere that you would use butter or margarine, you could use Benecol. There is 0.5 gram of the plant sterols per serving, per tablespoon. But the deal is that in order for it to have the helpful benefit, you have to consume 2 grams per day. So that would mean that you would have to have 4 servings. The problem comes into play here is that it is a fat. So you get about 70 calories per tablespoon. So you take that times 4 if you have to use 4 tablespoons. And oftentimes people don't have that big a calorie budget for fat to use. So I just bring this up to you that the plant sterols and stanols are in certain foods. You can even take supplemental plant sterols and stanols if you need that extra boost for your cholesterol. But realize if it's from a dietary source like a buttery spread that your calories are going to add up there. So how does that work? The plant sterols and stanols actually block cholesterol absorption. So we've talked about the gel that helps it to be excreted. Well, this actually blocks the cholesterol absorption in the gut. And then that's how the plant sterols or stanols work, or as I said, sometimes called the phytosterols. So something to think about if you need an extra boost to lower your LDL cholesterol. Soy proteins are beautifully heart healthy. They are able to lower your LDL cholesterol. So think about using the edamame, which is the green soybean. This is different than the brown or greenish brown dried soybean that you often think about. This largely resembles a small lima bean. Very tasty, and you can use it anywhere that you would use normal beans, peas, lentils. Tofu, there's a couple different kinds of tofu. Firm tofu would be used like in a stir fry, whereas like silken tofu could be used to make a mousse or perhaps a dip or something like that, gets softer. Soy milk works, and just be careful. A lot of soy milks have added sugars in them. You just want to look at the label and see really what you're buying and if it is unsweetened or whether it is sweetened. Tempeh is a fermented soybean cake, so there's all kinds of ways to get soy in your diet, but some of us just need a little extra boost out of our comfort zone to give those a try. 25 grams of soy protein a day has been shown to be effective to lower LDL cholesterol. So that's something to think about as you're also trying to get more plant-based, plant-centered, plant-oriented in the foods that you're eating. All right, omega-3 fatty acids, have beautiful abilities to lower triglycerides and lower cholesterol. So that's the dark flesh cold water fish, tuna, salmon, mackerel, trout, sardines. There is an idea there how to use sardines. Some people like them, some people don't. But they are a great source, and you can grill your fish, broil your fish, bake it, whatever. We're just trying to not batter it and deep fat fry it would be the goal. 2 fish meals per week, and this is a beautiful way to lower your triglycerides and lower your LDL cholesterol. All right, psyllium fiber is a supplement, and this is an example of psyllium fiber. Normally, psyllium fiber is used as a laxative, softener, help people who might be constipated. The fiber in this is soluble fiber. So if you really are having trouble getting that LDL cholesterol down, want to try something different, I would encourage you to ask your physician about supplementing psyllium fiber. 1 teaspoon of psyllium fiber has about 3 grams of soluble fiber. Keep in mind, over a day, we're trying to get 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber to help lower our cholesterol. So that's another thought of something that you could look into if you need a little extra help to get the cholesterol down, okay? We're very much aware that these 2 lifestyle issues, obesity and lack of activity, can raise cholesterol levels, raise LDL cholesterol. It's also very hard on cardiac health. So if we have a few extra pounds or we're a little bit inactive, those are 2 things that you could boost in your day. Work on it to get some weight off. Work on it to find an activity that you enjoy, and that will certainly help your heart health. These pictures here show you some sources of high saturated fat and trans fats, and those are what raise our total cholesterol, more importantly, raise the LDL cholesterol. So if you're really trying to curb things, you want to look at the amount of red meat, whole fat dairy, how much chocolate you have in your day, coconut oil, lard. And then your trans fats have a tendency to be in packaged processed foods, baked goods. They're not allowed to be added to foods anymore, but we naturally make some trans fats, and they're naturally in small quantities in foods. So I just want you to be aware that the saturated fats and the trans fats are actually the ones that do boost or increase your LDL cholesterol. So those are things that we could work to reduce in our food choices that we make. So putting it all together, let's think about focusing more on plant-centered eating, plant-focused, plant-based, whatever you want to call it. Just eat more things that grow on the ground, less things that have 2 legs or 4 legs. Easy way to look at it. Select colorful fruits and vegetables, beans, peas, lentils, nuts and seeds, low-fat dairy or dairy alternatives, and then your heart-healthy oils are good choices to make. I always encourage people to increase the variety of what you eat. Think, are you really a creature of habit? You eat the same thing day in and day out. So we need to step out of our little comfort zone, step out of our box, try some new tastes, some new textures. Your taste buds will adjust, will transform if you let them, but we have to try some new things, and maybe you'll get excited about something that you never really thought you'd ever eat. Be moderate with your portions. We all need that constant reminder that sometimes we just eat more because it's there, and we could be satisfied with eating less, and that would help our heart health, help our body weight. And then I always like to encourage people to find joy in moving and eating healthy foods. So think about putting this all together. Do something good for your heart. Try to lower that LDL cholesterol. And until we meet again, eat well and be well.